What is, give or take, like an average client for you typically?
Right now, our lifetime value for clients looking like somewhere conservatively, maybe like 800,000 US.
So, Ash, tell me about your company. What do you do?
Yeah, so we have a company called TechTBD, and we work with small and medium-sized organizations to help them figure out an IT strategy.
When we started working together, like what were the challenges that you were facing or the problems that you were trying to fix before we started working together?
So I think one of the places where we were good is we had a pretty good product, and we kind of knew how to come up with IT strategies, and been doing that for a while. But then the main issue was just trying to figure out, who are we selling to, and how to actually go about going from we're interested in selling to you all the way through the buying process and having them actually buy something.
What had you tried, like on your own? Like, were there different courses or programs or tests or things that you had done before we started working together?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I did a ton, but I did enough. Part of the challenge was, especially with, want to say like a consulting type product or offering, everyone was, that I reached out to would say, great, we'll help you do your marketing and get a bunch of leads in. And then, and then I'd say, okay, that's awesome. Then what do I do once I get the leads? They're like, oh, well, that's sales. We don't do that. I said, oh, okay. So I have to find someone else to do that. They're like, yeah. And then I would say some of the salespeople and be like, hey, great. what do you offer? And they're like, great. We could really help you, close these deals. So when you have these accounts come in, you have these conversations, and we can walk you through that process of actually selling. And I said, great. How do I get the people to come in for these meetings? Well, we don't do that. That's the marketing people. And I was like, so that's someone else? And they're like, yeah. So I think I don't know. I think I find it coming in from tech. I thought it was just incredibly stupid that the whole process of actually closing an account includes marketing and sales, and that people just wouldn't put together some kind of offering that took care of both of them.
How would you describe the work that we've done over the past 12 plus months, or as long as we've been working together? How would you describe what it is that we've done?
The best way to describe it is the first thing we did was we actually, nailed down who is it that we're going to be selling to, which I think was, for me, who had no background in anything in sales and marketing, was okay, there's a group of people who need this that we're going to target and sell to. And then we kind of just came up with the whole process of how do we find those people? How do we get them interested when they get on a call? How do we talk to them? All the way to okay, great. Now that they've bought it, now we can, execute on the offering. So it was sort of that whole process. I would say that's what we've worked on and are still working on.
Right. Well, yeah, it's always a work.
Yeah. Well, that's also I would say the other thing, kind of figured out through the years, it's always a work in progress, because it's you're building the engine, and then, where it's one, then it becomes two, and then it becomes four, and then it kind of grows, but you have the system in place.
And each time you solve a problem, you create a new problem, but hopefully you're just upgrading the problems as you go. You're just fixing them piece by piece as you build, the essence.
Yeah, absolutely. I think definitely the most challenging, which at least for me anyway, was the beginning part anyway, right? Because at the beginning, if you don't have any clients and you're trying to build the system, and when you build the system at the beginning, it's actually, I don't know, a good way to say it, it's the worst system you're going to build. Is the one you build at the beginning, right? But then over a course of time, you just keep improving it. And even in that really crappy system, if you just get one, right? Well, then it's easier than now to improve it. And it grows I guess it actually grows pretty quickly.
Well, it's the beauty of building with systems too, is a system can be optimized. Even if it's a shitty system to begin with, if you have something that you can then look at the variables and start tweaking them, and making improvements, you're almost assured that if you do that, you're looking at data, you're going to make improvements. It's just a matter of time sometimes. So the work that we did on nailing down the audience and getting the systems for marketing and the sales, how would you say, why was that any different than what you had tried before we started working together?
No one really put it together in like a system. So while like, I could say you could use the DIY approach and you could have like gone and been like, great, how do I, you can obviously GPT anything nowadays, right? I'm sure you can just GPT like, how do I find clients? And it tell you to set up a marketing funnel, but then you got to go and figure out, okay, what tool am I going to use? How do I set this up? What are my marketing assets like? And it's like, I can say that stuff all now because we've gone through it like the last year, but like, that's like, I don't know, that's like, if I was to talk to a non-tech person about tech, like it would be sort of the same thing, right? It's just like, you're like, well, what am I supposed to do? Like, I don't get it. And that's kind of all those materials. That's kind of what it was, right? It's like, they'd be like, okay, great. Take your ICP and then create this profile and then create this asset. And you're just like, wait, what? So, I would say that just having just a consistent like end-to-end process and lots of things like laid out of like, great, here's a good tool to use for your marketing funnel. And here's what an example of an asset would look like and things like that just made it like, I don't know, so much quicker to get through and actually be able to launch a campaign and just start that whole sales process versus if I was just trying to do it myself.
It's awesome to hear. Like, I love hearing it and the progress you've made. What have been the results? Like, can you quantify it? Are there tangible results? Like, what have been the results from when we started working together to now?
Yeah, I think, one of the major things for us on the result side was we have a pretty like high ticket offering, right? Like it costs over 50K USD for our offering. And it was always just kind of like, okay, is that something that, we can market and sell and do that online and, and actually be able to sell that. And so the fact that we've sold a few now has just been like a really big deal because, a lot of our work leads to lots of follow-on work. So even though the client numbers may not be huge, the amount of revenue that is for our organization and like how much stability it gives us for the next 3 to 5 years is huge.
The average audit has been 50,000. And do you have a sense of what a client is worth to you over the lifetime? Because you're in a very high ticket space. So one client is not just a $10,000 or $20,000 sale. What is, give or take, like an average client for you typically?
Right now, our lifetime value for clients looking like somewhere conservatively, maybe like 800,000 US.
Okay. Damn, that's impressive. Well, you guys do really good work too, though.
Yeah. And I think that's that's where I think this thing works really well, right? Is because we're really good at what we do. So we have no, when I say we, obviously, there's a business partner involved, but we're very good on the execution once it sells, because that's what we've been doing for the last 15 to 20 years. And so it really was like a marriage of okay, we're really good at this. We need your support to be able to say, how do we get people in the door? And, and now that that's working and we have both, it's just things are moving.
That's where the synergy really is taking somebody who has the deep expertise to do the work, helping build the right systems to help connect them to their clients. And do you mind sharing how many deals have we closed since we started working together?
3.
And who would you recommend us to, the repeatable revenue program? If you were talking to somebody, who do you think would be the best fit?
This is going to sound bad, but everyone and their dog wants to be, or is a business owner or some entrepreneur or whatever. But honestly, I think one, you got to have some level of deep expertise in what you've done, whether, you've been in the space for a really long time. And it's just so there has to be some level of expertise and quality in the work you already do. And then I think there has to be someone who is interested and willing to follow program and a plan. Like, no kidding, because it takes both, right? Like, if I didn't trust your plan and actually follow through and do all of those things that are in the plan, there's no way I would have gotten these results. And I think sometimes, especially in the entrepreneurship space right now, I think there's a lot of people who just like, oh, I want to make like quick money or easy money. And it's like, this is not that. Like, this is actually like building a business, which takes time and work at the beginning to lay the foundation for it. And if you're not willing to lay the foundation for it, then probably the program wouldn't be a good fit.
I'd love to hear that, because I say oftentimes, like, we're not for 17-year-old life coaches, and we're not for overnight hacks. Like, that's not right. It is foundation building. And then who is the best fit for your business? Who reaches out to you, and how do they know if they're the best fit for you?
I would say right now we're as obviously we're going through this. It's businesses actually that have between about 20 to 40 people who are now starting to expand and grow beyond Excel spreadsheets and doing stuff manually, and they just need some systems in place to help do things more efficiently, and they're not sure how to do it.
Well, we will send as many of them your way as we can. And
right.
I appreciate you hopping on, Ash. Look forward to continuing to help you make more money.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ray.